yes, the early 2010s. What a damn time to be alive. That was when mobile games started to gain momentum. It first started off with that Snake game built into Nokia phones back in the 2000s, but then Nokia itself released what basically was the first gaming phone. Imagine the Game Boy Advance and the Nokia 3310 having a kid. That's basically the N-Gage. But that can get another video if I even actually try out the thing. Looks pretty interesting, not gonna lie. But yeet Nokia out the window for now and let's focus on mobile games in the 2010s. We all know about the big motherfuckers at the time. You got Angry Birds, Jetpack Joyride, Cut the Rope, Fruit Ninja. Hell, I can make a whole 2-hour video talking about every fucking Candy Crush clone out there. And then you have more obscure ones such as Doodle Jump, which is basically if a pea shooter was given insect legs and a rocket for some reason. Besides those, you got Talking Tom and other Outfit 7 games which we all messed around for some reason. And with Talking Angela, we all got an idea of how dating basically works. Other than that, it unfortunately was the center of a rather terrible hoax that it was used by pedophiles to attract kids playing the game. Later on, we get the likes of Subway Surfers with a theme song that sounds strikingly similar to this 1993 disco remix song.
They're the same picture.
And then in the mid-2010s, there had been a significant rise in strategy games such as Clash of Clans and the likes. But then the pandemic hit and we're catching imposters in a spaceship. Damn, that almost rhymed. But anyways, it was around this time when gacha games like Genshin and Honkai games began taking over the world. Oh wait, that's not the real topic of the video. Ah! Oh god. Okay, so what the hell is going on here? Why does every game look like some boss baby shit on a shit roller coaster full of stick figures? Leaving out the gacha games for a second, yes you too, gacha life. Other than the fact that there are brain rot games with brain rot characters being the playable ones, most mobile games nowadays don't even have the charm anymore. They look like the exact same evil corporations behind them. Not to mention the diabolical number of ads that pop up like cable TV in your hands. Now, like most video essays on this topic, I'm not gonna go on the whole history of mobile gaming, blah blah blah. We're gonna specifically cover what mobile games look like nowadays, and we're also gonna see the absolute shit formats a lot of mobile games tend to have. So, we all know about the Pong of mobile gaming, Snake, which fortunately doesn't have a shitload of phones specifically for the game. Oh, okay, never mind. But why am I mentioning Snake? Well, it's an example of how something this incredibly simple can be extremely fun on a phone to pass the time. There's even a nightmare fuel version of Snake you can play online. But anyways, nowadays you get something like this water sorting puzzle game thingy or whatever. What is this? A bartender training? Like, what the fuck am I really learning here? This is like trying to craft even better blue candy than Mr. White. The sheer level of unoriginality right here just makes you wonder why mobile gaming deteriorated so much to the point that you're forced to doom scroll brain rot on Instagram. Please follow, by the way, and since I want my follower count to surpass the number of people I follow, maybe I should buy a GoPro for more Insta-esque shots. But anyways, let's take a peek at the state of mobile gaming nowadays. Let's just say that the biggest culprit behind this is none other than the common M word. You know what I'm talking about. Monsters! Not just kidding, it's money. But at the same time, I'm not really kidding about monsters in the form of corporations fueled by greed. So as I've said, mobile games in the 2010s were a diversified bunch, with a shitload of classics being born during that era. Notice how many games, despite having relatively simple gameplay, were fun to play for even hours. Sometimes you would get lost in your world until you realize you forgot to do the dishes. Oh but the problem with such games, as some developers have found to be the case, is that they are free. How can you spend literal years trying to build the perfect game for phones, only for it to be free? How the hell would you make money then? That's when in-app purchases kicked the door open and basically infested a shitload of popular mobile games. This was called the freemium model, which only requires you to pay for some extras within the game with real money. At least it's not like EA, which charges you for everything. Pay $19.99 to watch the rest of the video. Hold on, what? When did EA take over my script? And what if you don't want to pay? This was when ads were added to mobile games to the point that they're basically parasites within them. It feels like watching Despicable Me on cable TV rather than playing Minion Rush. Remember that game? I used to binge play that shit like nuclear crack. What you say? Oh shit, no! And then you had a lot of poorly designed yet fun games with good strategies, as well as games which basically teach you how to torture virtual people. Shit, that was way too far, honestly. There are also several racing games, as well as games that helped you think critically, and multi-platform games, such as that one big motherfucker known as Plants vs. Zombies. Didn't even keep track of how many times I've beaten that game, it's just too fun. Alright, so now that we've gotten through the legends, some of which were transformed into money-making machines unfortunately, now let's get to the bottom of the shit barrel and see some of the worst brain rot games that hack the brains of everyone like it's some hot TikTok trend I've never heard of. You could write a whole Stephen King style novel on this. But anyways, we gotta look at the main culprit of the modern mobile gaming fads and app stores. Unity. For those who don't know, it's basically like Roblox but for professionals. Jokes aside, it is a game engine that helps you develop games easily as an amateur. This includes mobile games, as exposed by the Unity logo at the beginning of every game made using that platform. Many of these so-called hyper-casual games, which are basically defined as effortlessly and quickly designed games meant to hook you up in a trance, are made with Unity. Better put on some trance music too for the full experience. For years, game developers cared more about graphics and looks like they're supermodels or something, rather than actual gameplay, which is quite a risky move, since you have to spend like $50 on a really good looking game, only for it to be so shitty that you need to microwave it for a good experience. Please do not attempt this unless you somehow have a game console shaped like a microwave, or you want to burn down the house or something. Nowadays, since a shitload of people have become phone zombies, me included unfortunately, brains. Hyper-casual games have already become popular, especially during the 2020s. On YouTube, when you search for hyper-casual mobile games, you'll see multiple tutorials on how to make your own cash cow oversimplified games so you can earn millions. Later on, these types of games were largely succeeded by hybrid casual games, which comparatively have more detailed interfaces but still feel too minimalistic and mass-produced. Voodoo is one of the biggest culprits behind the soulless game farm, behind the whole .io game, part of the whole .io games trend starting from Augario and Slither.io, which don't actually come from the British Indian Ocean territory. Damn, you don't say! But anyways, Voodoo can be classified within the same table as McDonald's and H&M because of how mass-produced their games are. However, it's also been accused of basically plagiarizing several indie games. There are 2 video essays on them. Speaking of .io games, it seems that there are multiple games these days with .io slapped at the end. And if you look at Voodoo, there's not 1, not 2, not even 3, but 4 paper.io games. Why are companies treating games like movie franchises with a shitload of sequels every once in a while? Take Scream for example. 7 fucking movies in the same franchise! Also a TV series to add insult to injury for movie collectors. Not as diabolical as Halloween though, in which people keep running out of ideas. What? Are we gonna go trick-or-treating for Halloween movies rather than candy? That's not sweet. Yes, pun intended. But fuck movies for a second cause we're talking mobile games here. Remember how back in the days there were literally games that were specifically designed to troll you? Nowadays you don't even need putting a thread into a needle like insanely hard strategies to anger you like a bull seeing the color red when you have shitty games like this. Literally, what in the ASMR fetish satisfaction is this? Man, do these people run out of good mobile game ideas if they're gonna be dropping games in which the only purpose is to satisfy your ASMR fetish for some reason. Imagine trying to play this fucking game with your girlfriend. You'll end up single overnight, little bro. Not like you have one anyways, unless you do. In that case, great job. Like seriously, is this what mobile games have come to these days? You might as well would make a game in which you're supposed to see a fucking brick wall, but it makes millions every second and you can upgrade it every single time. Even Desert Bus is more fucking enjoyable! Speaking of fetish, it seems that there is a shitload of mobile games whose sole purpose is to king shame you. It's not like Lula 3D, which is literally a fresh corn game. I'm talking about games in which they make a woman run to become either a supermodel or plus sized. What a great way to objectify women for no reason. You thought that was bad? Twerk Race 3D. Twerk Race 3D. What went on inside the heads of the fucking developers of this shit? Apparently you can just run to get a Brazilian ass according to this game. Totally worth it. But then I decided to dive into a rabbit hole and discovered some horrifying games that somehow escaped the girly games website realm. One even has AI slop thrown in too. That's the cherry on top of literal vomit in a milkshake glass. Besides, just search these 4 simple letters and welcome to a brand new hell burning more than the fires in the middle of nowhere in Turkmenistan. Now, even after so much yapping, I can confidently say that not all modern mobile games are like this. There are some that I actually sampled and honestly, they were quite fun. In all seriousness though, they were mostly puzzle games with rather minimalistic visuals. But there are also some adventure simulation games such as Little Farm Story, which is a bit like Animal Crossing but you literally earn money, apparently. Yeah, some are for two money-making apps that I downloaded before that apparently pay you to play mobile games. Sounds too good to be true. Which is why they're a scam. Some of you might already know about the free cash scam app, but there are shitloads of them. And you might have already seen an ad for one of them. AI generated ones included. And speaking of ads, let's also open the final can of worms for the sake of this video. Mobile game ads. They're even more dangerous than the radiation in Chernobyl, we know. But just think about it. Many are either straight up false advertising or just AI slop. The one thing that angers me like a volcano in my brain is the fact that in many of these ads, they always deliberately play badly like you're being rage baited. That's how they get you to play the game. Like, fuck off! How does this even convince me in any way? That's like trying to get me to play basketball by breaking the same leg each time you score. Who are you supposed to be, Michael Jawbreak? That sounds like Jawbreak. Also, you can't get AI slop like Sun. You can't fucking convince me if you have to validate your product through AI slop. And these are basically the tip of the iceberg of everything wrong with modern mobile games. I can go further in future videos, but I gotta wrap things up by saying that mobile gaming took a nosedive recently to the point where every game looks like shit. I mean, there are plenty of them that are actually enjoyable, most of which are just gacha games from China. And if you're thinking that one particular game, well, it's not really my kind of thing. Oh, you thought you could make a better joke. But we can all agree that people really be making games on anything these days. Sometimes we really need to take into consideration how far creativity can go. So yeah, that's all for this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys when I have the opportunity to do so. And as always, peace.